read a few years ago, probably more like 10 years ago now, there was a book on the Spanish influenza, and I think it was just called Influenza, talking about
Mhm.
the time. And I've wondered, like, why aren't there stories about that? Like, like why aren't there
Mhm.
stories and songs and poems and I don't know. I wonder if that'll be different about this. Yeah.
Yeah. So let's start just like at the beginning, Susan, just kind of giving like a brief timeline of like your background and how Renaissance started in the community.
Um, Renaissance was founded in 1993, and um, I had lived here in Milwaukee for about 3 years at that point, um, and really, the way it started is Raylene and Raylene McMillian, myself, Jennifer Rupp, and Marie Kohler all took Michael Wright's acting class. And that's how we all met and started talking about, oh, it just was starting to kind of dawn on all of us at the same time that there weren't a lot of opportunities for women in the theater. And and that there weren't a lot of plays written by women that were being produced in our community, um, and we were really young, and we thought, well, like we could do that. We could start a theater and produce more. We were interested in providing more roles for women that went beyond the ingenue or the mom, or and at that time it was just serendipitous that Theater X launched their Theater X Presents Theaters Women Festival. And so this was in early 1993, maybe February or March. And Pam Percy called Marie Kohler and said, hey, we're doing this thing at Theater X. Do you have anything for us? And Marie said, well, it just so happens that, we're meeting to talk about creating a theater that will focus on the work of women and providing opportunities for women. And we talked to Pam a little bit more, and Pam Percy said, you need a timeline. And I know some people that I think you should talk to. And I think it was through Pam and through Raylene that we met Michelle Traband, who was the arts administrator of the professional theater training program at UWM at the time. And so we met Michelle, and Raylene was an actor, director, and teacher. I was an actor and budding director. Marie was an actor and playwright, and Jennifer was an actor. And she and her husband also ran comedy sports, developed and ran comedy sports. So we had a lot of different skills, none of which was a theater administrator. So Michelle was fantastic and said, okay, we need a budget and you need a timeline and we need to figure out how we're going to do this. And but it was really through Theater X that we were able to produce our first show, because we were responsible for the cost of the production, but they did everything else. They created all the marketing and the program and the space, um, and we liked it so much, we decided to keep on doing it. So at first it's so ridiculous, but we were the lesbian theater company for a long time, and at that time there were no lesbians in the company, but just stuff like that, and people saying nasty stuff like, "Well, you don't want to exclude men," and the fact that someone could say that with a straight face when every other theater company in town, 80%, 98%, that was the rep statistic for a long time. All of the work was written by men and acted by men and directed by men and produced by men. And no one batted an eye about that, you know? So yeah, so that kind of stuff was just exhausting, and having to defend yourself. And honestly, and I say this as the mother of a son, the sister to a brother, my husband and I have been together now 38 years. I don't ever want to have to say that I really like men again, because I don't know why I should have to defend myself for promoting opportunities for other people,
Yeah.
It's just like, oh my God, really? Just
Yeah, should balance should be the goal no matter what. We shouldn't have to defend that we want to get toward balance. Yeah.
right.
Hmm.
Right.
And do you feel like a lot of those arguments and conversations still happen?
Not as much. And no, it's really not as much. And what's funny, the thing that's happened, and I think this is just something that happens if you're lucky enough to live long enough, is that you start to see change. And where I've seen it the most is in the younger people that are on staff now, because when we did the the Annie Jump event for George Dinosopoulos, who's on our board, and I was telling Bailey and some of the other younger women the same things I just told you. They were so shocked. It's like, people really said that to you on a daily basis, my friend, that, and it's just, I can't believe that. And it's great. And I realized that's true. That's really true for them. And I would love to think that maybe we were a tiny part of making that happen,
I went to school for theater, and really by the time I graduated, I didn't know if I wanted to be a part of it because it seemed so cutthroat and transactional and just competitive in a really toxic way. It just seemed like everyone's out there fighting for roles and nobody ever has any power and no one cares what you think. And if you're not a teacher's pet, you're nothing. And it just seemed like, is this the best form of human expression? Is this something I want to be a part of? But so I worked in the for-profit sector for a while and, felt like my soul was literally leaving through my feet. And like I could feel it, like, oh, well, yeah, my left foot lost a lot of soul today. I don't know why it's my feet, but it was going out through my feet. And then, I knew I didn't want to work in for-profit anymore. And, I started to learn about nonprofits because you don't really learn about those through regular schooling. I feel, it's not a part of what could be your life plan. And I just love the idea of like, no, we're doing good for good's sake, and it's supported by the community, and we uphold what's expected of the community by the community. We're responsible for each other. And then I knew Jennifer Rupp because I at that time I worked at Comedy Sports as a stage manager, just moonlighting, and so I sent an email to everyone I knew, and I was like, look, I'm a very German person. I'm never going to leave a job unless I have another job lined up. Like, that's not responsible, but I can't do this anymore. Like, what else is out there?
I didn't know that. Huh.
And she brought it to the Renaissance women as like, hey, we need a development director. Do you think Lisa could do it?
And they were actively looking for someone. So it's just so serendipitous that wow.
Yeah. So only 20% of plays produced in the US are written by women. And when the plays aren't written by women, that, follows through that the stories aren't women centered and the roles for women aren't as well fleshed out. And, women directors aren't hired to direct them, and they're chosen by men because I don't know what percentage of artistic directors in the US are men, but I'm sure it's 90. Yeah, I'm sure it's 90% or over. And not that there's any to keep women down in the theater, but the natural choices men make of what speaks to them and what they want to put on their stage relates to their own experience. I mean, that's
Mhm.
human nature. So Renaissance is interested in, you know, raising the stories told up to 50% because we're 50% of the population. So and giving women those important first time opportunities to step into a new role
Mhm.
like Renaissance gave me. You know, I'd never worked in a nonprofit. I had never worked as a development director.
Mhm.
But it was, you know, they saw something in me and thought I could do it and gave me a shot. Well, the same thing's true of Laura Gordon as a director. You know, she'd
Mhm.
always been an actor, and
And Lisa Schlenker as a stage designer. Yeah,
right.
set designer.
And
Well, it was pretty clear we weren't going to be able to do the season that we had chosen.
Yeah.
And I started, you know, I started thinking about what would be a good show that would speak to the moment, you know, particularly the Black Lives Matter movement, and what could we safely produce in the time of COVID, and what did I feel comfortable doing? Because I wasn't going to bring someone else in, you know, like if we were going to do it, I wanted to make sure that the burden was on me. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
to make sure that things were safe, um, and I thought, let's do neat. And also, I realized that so many people hadn't seen it.
Mhm.
You know, and I called Marty to ask her about a few other things, and I said, and I've also got this other idea. Would you be interested in doing neat again? And she said, she hollered, and then she said, yes. When is it? Oh, it doesn't matter because I'll cancel everything else. Yes, I want to do it. So that's how we did it. And I'm so, so happy that we are. And she and I both said, she said, oh my God, this is going to be great because I'm better now. And she was fantastic before, but you know, you get older and hopefully you get better. And I said, I know, me too. This is going to be so much fun.